One of our subscribers requested Zenith 3540 carburetor adjustment as a topic for one of the videos. So that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to talk about, and I'm going to demonstrate all the adjustments on these carburetors. So, well, all the really important adjustments on these carburetors. I'm going to get a small screwdriver. So these are the Zenith 3540 carbs, and admittedly we don't have a vacuum regulator on this carburetor, so the vacuum regulator adjustment will have to be in another video, but I want to go through the basic tests with these carburetors. So the first thing we need to establish is whether or not our chokes are working or not. These are our choke flaps, and because the engine's cold, we are going to experience mostly closed choke flaps, but not closed all the way. So one of the things we want to look at is where the choke idle is going to land. There's a separate idle adjustment for cold idle in these housings, but you only need to adjust one. So we're going to note the position of our accelerator linkage here to see if it's opening up. It's about level with this little boss right here. And then I'm just going to do this once, and you see how the chokes have shut now? Now the chokes have shut, and the throttle is a little bit more open. You can tell that this is going to be throttle open. So first of all, this choke gap is a little bit wider than it should be. So we're going to go to the set screw here, and we're going to loosen the set screw. And then we're going to make sure that this rod, that this little screw is shut. Now, why do we want this? Because we need the richest possible mixture. We want this thing flush here, and we want to see that the choke is closed up tight. Now, what we need to do is we need to set our choke idle. So this is the choke idle screw right here, and I'm going to turn it in. I've got to activate the accelerator lever right here and turn the screw in. If you turn the screw in, it'll idle the choke up. Now, in order to do this, we have to start the engine. So what we're looking for is we're looking for a nice high idle. Okay, so now we're started, but you've got to rev the engine a little bit to clear it out, and you can already see that our chokes are starting to open. But we need more choke idle speed. So even though our idle sounds pretty good, we're going to want to increase the choke idle speed. Here's the screw, and we're going to go in about one turn. And now we're going to start the car again and see if our idle speed is better. That's much better. Time to get a little bit of shakiness when the car is cold. And as the engine warms up, we're going to get a little bit more engine speed. So this is a common idle for a car with dual Zenith carburetors. Next, we've got to look at the idle speed adjustment. On early Zenith, there's this thumb screw that you can use to lower your idle speed. And admittedly, you've got to be very careful with these guys. You've got to be very careful with these guys. Because they can slip off, allowing the engine to go over speed. But what you're doing is you're relaxing the throttle linkage. Now, I brought this idle down so it's not racing. A racing idle is a really common issue on these engines. The next thing we want to check is the idle mixture. Notice how when I back this out, the idle speed picks up just a little bit. You want it to pick up because the idle speed picking up is a sign that it's working right. And while the change is subtle, it still is pretty apparent. These linkages should always be monitored for wear because of the fact that they're plastic. Mercedes ended up replacing them with a metal ball socket linkage. Actually, in all fairness, this is a pretty nice item. Now, here's another thing I want you guys to check. We're going to do a linkage test. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this linkage. And I'm going to make sure that without binding, see how it binds just a little bit? I'm going to make sure that without binding, I can snap it onto this linkage. Now there should be a little bit of play here in these guys, and that's okay. Hold on just a minute. What I want to do is I want this rod right here to snap onto the back carburetor without me having to move this linkage forward or move the other linkage forward to get them to go together. They should just go together with little to no pressure. Now, sometimes you have to clean out the inside of the ball socket. Otherwise, the snap ring becomes dislocated. But I know that in this setting, there's no pressure on the linkage, so I don't have to maneuver one forward and one backward. You should never have to do that. Now, second of all, with the idle adjustment, if for some reason you feel that you're not getting the maximum amount of adjustment out of your idle linkage, just remember two things. You should always check the idle linkage adjuster with the engine off. Never just pull it, because what will happen is the carburetor's accelerator lever will go all the way to maximum speed. And that is not something you want to deal with, trust me. It is absolutely the last thing that you want to see happen. Now, to get the minimum idle speed, you've got to adjust these adjusters to where the carburetor actually closes all the way. Sometimes that means losing the spring, but what we want to do is remove these again with the engine off. See this spring, how if it pops off, this linkage is just going to open all the way? That is the last thing you want. What you want to do, though, what you have to make absolute certainty of, is that this is all the way shut when the engine is warm. And if it's not all the way shut, then what you're going to get, again, is high idle. So, let's shut this thing. Spring back in place. Now we have our throttles all the way closed. We have our idle mixture set. We basically have a perfect running Zenith carbureted engine. Although I personally think the idle speed of this engine is a little fast. The next thing we want to do is run it with the AC on. Make sure that it's not struggling with the air conditioner. And that's a wrap. That's a wrap. All the major adjustments on a Zenith carburetor to make it idle smoothly. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up, tap the bell for notifications. And if you're supporting us on Patreon, thank you so much.